Hi, and welcome to A Punk with Toys. My name is Lawrence, and today we're going to take a look at the GI Joe Classified Shockwave. There he is, all in his blue, his digital camo blue. He looks really nice. I do believe that this is going to be Beachhead's body, but that's okay if it looks good. So if you see in the background, we also have General Hawk, and I had to decide which one am I going to do first. And then I thought, well, Hawk is from Colorado, and Shockwave is from Dearborn, Michigan. And back in the 90s, the Avs and the Wings went to war battling. And of course, the Wings were just a better hockey club. So you know what? We're going to go with the Detroit boy. That's right. Dearborn, it's right next to Detroit, but this is a good old Detroit boy. Yeah, that's how I do things. Anyway, let's get into it. Here we have the artwork that we're going to be losing when we go back to the plastic the plastic packaging, but we will get something similar to this on the back. Here's all his weapons, and we got another shield. I'm really interested to see how this riot shield is. I hope it works in the same manner that the Alley Vipers do, where you can plug it onto his hand, and then you can twist it to where it needs to be. It's better than trying to hold it. Here we have the artwork on the side. It looks really nice. Number 105, right? 105. QR code that leads you to a GI Joe site, and then you can kind of figure out the file card system. And on the back here, we have the height of the figure. There you have him masked up with his hat on. And just a little bit of the details and everything that he comes with. So, there's no more reason to look at me. We also will be comparing him to the original O-Ring figure, which I gotta say, this was not a figure that I had as a kid. I recently picked him up probably in the last 5 or 6 years. So it's not like I have some emotional connection to it, even though he's from Dearborn. And there you can hear Roman just... Anyway, let's get into this figure. But before we do, take a second, if you like the content that I'm giving you, take a second, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification so you're notified every time I drop a GI Joe video. Because not only this one, but you know Hawk is coming really soon. Alright, so he's out of his box. Let's take a look at the coffin. Again, looks really nice. Now, I don't think it looks nearly as good as either one of the females, especially Helix. And it's just because it's kind of bland as it is, especially the camouflage doesn't really work all that well in the black and white. It looks good, but it doesn't pop the same way Helix did. So, even Shooter looked really good. And then we have the Foot Locker, Jason Shockwave, Faria, upside down at 105. Upside down star, 105. Again, we've discussed this. Those will be going away, and I'm actually okay with those going away. So let's get into the accessories. We're going to look at that last. So the first things are his 2 automatic pistols that he has. And let's do the straight test. And it looks like it has a slight bend to it, but nothing that is going to kill me. I feel like when they're shorter, it's not an issue. It is fairly solid. And we'll look at this one also. This one also has a slight bend to it, so they'll need to be warmed up. When they're shorter, the thickness of them isn't really an issue, but the solidness of them. But I think with the return of the plastic trays, it should keep most of the weapons straighter than what we were getting here. All right. We got 2 magazines. So let's throw the magazine in here. See if this is the right way, wrong way, right way. It's like a flash drive. Wrong, right. As you know, that's not possible. Anyway, looking at it, it looks pretty good. Nothing too great. There's no paint apps, but I'm actually okay with something this small if it doesn't have paint apps when it's all black. It's much better than the gray. You can see the details on the handle right there. There you have the barrel, and then you obviously have a port for blast effects. Now, quickly looking at it like this, it definitely does look like it has a slight bend to it with the magazine. Now, the magazine is very soft and flimsy. That's kind of disappointing. Now, you do have a stock here. I'm not really sure how you're going to use that stock. I would assume this is supposed to be extendable in real world applications, but so. And then we'll throw the little magazine in this one also. I feel like they should go in a little bit further because it has a little like rivet here. So it feels like it should go in all the way down like that, but I don't want to pressure it too much harder. It's not really going any further than that. And that's as far as this one goes also. So we're going to have two different knives. So we have this knife here that's supposed to have a nice little hook. Now, unfortunately, you can see how the plastic is. It doesn't really create the hook the way that it should. This actually doesn't look all that good. The front of it doesn't look like it'd be sharp. It does have your serrated edges, but the fact that the hook is not really there, and I know we've seen other weapons that have that. Again, this is Hasbro, and they have to be 4 and up. Fairly straight. Again, a little flimsy, but I'm okay with flimsy as long as it goes back to where it needs to be. Then you have the really short knife. Now, this looks like an all-new knife that I've never seen. You got some detail on the handle. It is very hard to see because it's just all this just plain old black, but it looks decent enough. And then you have his billy club stick. I'm sure someone will correct me on what it's actually called. This happens to be a slight bend to it, but maybe he beat someone so hard that it bent. It doesn't look bad. Again, you get the handle grips on it. I would love to see a little bit of paint apps on this, but unfortunately, it's however they decide that they can control their budget. But we definitely get it on the shield. So we'll take a look at the shield. We can see he's taken out at least 4 Cobra Troopers. It looks like you have lights on it. And, I mean, it's not reflective, but the color of it kind of makes it, the yellow paint makes it look like it's pretty reflective, and you can even see the detail of where the wire is going to run to turn the lights on. Then you just have a little bit of gray here, because this is actually meant, so if you're looking at this, you can extend it up and down to put it in different positions. And on the back here, you have obviously the battery that's going to run everything. So what they did here was, rather than have this a full loop, they made it so it can clasp on, like the old Motu stuff, the Motu Masters of the Universe, for people that don't know what I'm talking about, the shield and everything. So you're going to put his hand around it, and then you're going to just kind of clasp it on there. Now, unfortunately, he can only use this in one hand. It doesn't rotate like the Alley Vipers, which would have been really nice had you been able to rotate it 360 and you could use it in either hand. So, unfortunately, he is going to be holding this in his right hand, and he's going to be firing from his left hand. Though that doesn't seem to make a lot of sense, considering you would think this is where you want to fire from, right? So it looks like this is designed wrong. You would want this here. Maybe someone will correct me. And you put the gun up here. But you can't do that. So that's disappointing. All right. Let's get into the... Oh, and we got the hat here. Got the hat. So he does have the digital camo on it. The hat's going to go right over the balaclava. I think I said it right. Again, this looks nice. And I got to say, you've seen the digital camo. It's telling us one thing. Storm Shadow version 2 is a-coming. So we'll see how this fits on. I know people may say it's kind of stupid. Why would you put a hat over a balaclava? But the original had it. That's the reason why. All right. So, quickly looking at this figure here. I'm going to bring our beachhead up here. And quickly, just the quick look at it. He has the same boots, which I absolutely hate these boots. I don't mind the shin guards. I hate the fact that these shin guards get in the way. And because they get in the way, it causes problems. They have the exact same knife sheath down there. Now, I haven't removed this knife in who knows how long. So yeah, this is actually a different knife. This knife actually looks pretty nice, to be honest. Just not the coloring. Now he does have different arms because these are pinless, but the legs are going to beachheads. And again, you got a different holster over here for both his guns. So let's get into the articulation, and then we'll go over the figure a little more. So right out of the box, T-pose. Now, I will mind you, I am in Michigan. It is just under 50 degrees, and it's kind of a chilly 50 degrees right now. Double pinless elbows. No problems. I gotta say, this feels really nice so far. You got your wrist joints that move back and forth. Head can move. You get a little bit more. You get a little more articulation because the neck and the head both do move. That's what he can look up. That's what he can look down. There's this Jean-Claude, which is pretty good. He's got the drop down hips. He can go up. He can go back like that. Now, of course, it makes it difficult to go back just to how the hip section is designed, but no issues there. Knees. You got your boot swivel. You got your thigh swivel. But no issues. I was a little worried that they were going to be a little cold, but this figure feels pretty solid. Now, again, my biggest issue when it comes to these shin guards is they can move down, but they can only move up so far, and it does actually prevent getting some opposability. The maneuverability that you can get is taken away with these. Now, listen, if you notice that I'm talking a little weird, that is because I just went to the dentist, so the whole left side of my face is completely, and I mean this, completely numb. All right. So there he is. Well, let's look at his face here. His eyes. Is he looking up? Take my glasses off. I'm going to look at him over. So I got to say, he's kind of got some googly eyes here. This eye is not looking in the same direction as this eye. Now, it is a minor thing. This eye looks like he's definitely looking up at something. That eye looks like he's looking straight. So, unfortunately, a few little paint apps there. It's not a huge deal. We see worse in figures. But when you look closely at it, it looks bad. But it doesn't look like it's out of place. So all the black looks like where it's supposed to be. I don't see any bleeding. So it's unfortunate. It's not something I'm going to cry too much about. All right. So throw that on him. And we'll take this small knife. And we'll throw it in the sheath here. It fits in there really nicely. Now let's compare these two figures. I'm going to remove his gun. Nice and easy. With that. If you do have O-ring figures and you're looking for any stands like this, smalljoes.com, check them out. I had a lot of issues with pegs that don't want to fit in, and they will snap the heel on your O-ring figures. All right. So let's take a look at these two side by side. And as you can see, they both have digital camo on the hat, which looks perfectly fine. Looking at the mask, you can see how the balaclava is supposed to look. They have a very similar yellow insignia on the side. Well, actually, this is some sort of digital. It's not digital camo. It is an insignia of some sort. This, I'm not really sure what it's for. Anyway. Alright, so that's what happens when you try and do everything in one take. And of course, all I did was stop it to sneeze. Again, if you're the first time here, that's how I like to do my reviews. Some people like it. A lot of people don't. But hey, you know what? You're here this long. So anyway, as you can see, taking the O-ring, they took the design, they put the nice sheath there. They put a bunch of little pockets up on the classified one, along with what looks like would be some shotgun shells, even though he doesn't come with a shotgun. But that is something that you would think that someone that's going to break down doors is going to use. So, in my eyes, in my opinion, they obviously made this vest look way better than this. This looks more like some sort of 80s vest that a preppy kid would be wearing. They both have belts. They put a few more pockets on the Classified. They did give a little bit of paint app right there, so the belt buckle is black. It's a very similar belt buckle here. And then on the side here, they give him the little pouches. He does have 2 sidearms, just like on the Classified one, or I'm sorry, on the O-ring one. And then you go down to the boots, and they went black boots, which is perfectly fine. They put a knife on the inside, so I guess you can rotate this if you want it to be on the inside to be more like your classic O-ring figure. But all in all, they do a wonderful job of recreating the figure. And on the back, you got the same look of the vest, to be honest. But like I said, this looks like something a preppy kid in the 80s would be wearing. All right. So, let's get into this figure. And I got to say this. Here is the O-ring pistol. And let's just say, if you really wanted to, you can make it work in a Classified figure. It's a little small, but it does actually work, believe it or not. This pistol was way, way too big. All right. Hell, this thing may actually work to a point. Look at that. You could actually use this if you really wanted to. So you want to mix your Classified with your O-ring. There you go. Looks kind of weird, but the stock is actually pretty good size. So we're going to get this. So there's no backpack. They did give him his knives. So I'm going to throw this knife down here. He got his 2 automatic pistols. Again, if they're not automatic pistols, someone will tell me where I was wrong about that. And is there a place to put his billy club, his nightstick? I'm sure I'm calling it wrong, but I don't apologize. All right. So, let's get this into his hand to see how well it actually works. So, you got to open his hand just a little bit. And I like this way doing it, as long as it stays in, better than the Alley Viper. And that's because the Alley Viper, you actually have to remove the hand. But I like the fact that the Alley Viper spins 360 degrees. And now we're going to throw the club in his hand. And now you have the Big Boss Man from Cobb County, Georgia. Except Big Boss Man was bigger than this. He's also dead. Anyway. There you go with that. Stands pretty nice, but I had no issues really standing these figures. It's just sometimes the boots, it's hard to get them in specific dynamic poses. I wish there was somewhere to put this. So now let's pull one of the pistols off. I really do not like the magazine. I feel like it is just way too soft and flimsy. Now, if you look at his finger, it's really small. And you're going to have to do a little bit of cutting with a razor to give him a better trigger finger, because that thing is not going to fit in there, unfortunately. So, how does this one look? Well, we'll pop this off. I feel like the guns are just too small. Maybe if they had suppressors on it. And I don't have any suppressors around me, so I can't throw one on there. So that one, the right hand seems to fit. The left hand, they're going to have to do a little bit of cutting. But for the most part, that's what you get. That is your GI Joe Classified Shockwave. And as you can see, he stands pretty well. Again, I got to fix this. I hate the fact that we cannot use the shield in the left hand. Again, I would want it on here so you could be posing it like this, somehow getting his gun to point over. And that's how you think that it should be. But unfortunately, this does not move, I don't believe. Yeah, that is soldered in, hardwired in. hardwired. Why did I say hardwired? It's glued together. All right, that's it. Let's wrap this up. All right, so my final first thoughts on GI Joe Classified Shockwave is I think it's a pretty decent figure. I don't have a problem with them reusing parts. Yes, I know a lot of people do not like the fact that they are using pinned joints from the first wave of figures, but it doesn't really bother me. They blend in pretty well because it's all the same color. If there was a point where the camouflage ran over it and you could see it, it would really cause a problem. In my opinion, it's just a distraction. I really wish they would have gone with something more classic to the weapon that he had. I think these ones are just too small, and without a suppressor, they look even smaller. The shield, as I had already mentioned, but all in all, the figure looks pretty good, other than the eye that he has a wandering eye. That's all that I can say. Anyway, that's it. If you like the figure, it should be hitting the shelves really soon. Alright, so there's my Shockwave review. I do like the figure. I think it looks pretty good for the most part. Again, they kit bash a lot of these figures. They did give him a new upper torso. Again, you got to hear some of the things that I had complaints about, some things I didn't think were the greatest. But all in all, it's a decent figure. I don't have a problem with it. I have no attachment to Shockwave. But if you want to know and learn a little bit more about Shockwave, I will post a link to JLS Comics in his Shockwave video. He discusses Shockwave throughout the comics and all of his lore. Anyway, I'm going to get out of here. But before I do, listen, take a second, jump on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok if you're on there. A Punk with Toys, the Facebook group page, Punks with Toys. Because once you join, you're a punk with toys. Now I'm going to get out of here. But before I do, take a second. And up here, I don't know, I'm going to drop a classified video. And right here will be all the classified videos in the playlist that I've done.